Welcome to Ayurveda and Spirituality with your host, Alakananda Ma, a renowned Ayurvedic expert and a graduate of a top London medical school. She is the principal of Alundi Ayurveda Gurukula, a unique apprenticeship-style school in Boulder, Colorado. She is a spiritual mother, teacher, flower essence maker, and storyteller. Join us as we uncover the timeless principles of Ayurveda, discover practical tips for enhancing vitality, and explore the deeper dimensions of spirituality that intertwine with the ancient science of life.
Namaste, dear friends. We are in the dark time of year, and it's a time when many of us could be having a bit of seasonal affective disorder or a bit of lower mood than we usually feel. So it seems like a good time to talk about the topic of Ayurveda and depression. Just going to start with a little trigger warning. This talk does touch, albeit very briefly and lightly, on the topic of suicidal thoughts, which might be upsetting to some listeners. If you are experiencing suicidal thoughts, please call the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline at 988. Okay, dear ones. Different kinds of depression. In Ayurveda, we always think about doshas, and any of the three doshas can give rise to depression. Let's start with vata type depression. All kinds of factors can disturb the vata, we call it pranavayu, in the brain and heart. That includes terrifying experiences, present or in the past, traveling a lot, having an irregular lifestyle, not getting enough sleep, talking too much, spending too long on your phone or at the computer, having a lot of dried, frozen, microwave foods, taking uh, drugs like cocaine, amphetamine, speed, caffeine, and working night shifts. So uh, if you're getting those factors happening in your life and you're starting to notice some symptoms of vata type depression, you want to make sure you're oiling with sesame oil or the oil your practitioner's recommended for you, and having a nice hot shower or going in a steam room at least weekly. So what are the symptoms of vata type depression? Could be a lot of anxiety, guilt, paranoia, irrational fears and phobias, and catastrophic ideation. We might not be sleeping well. Insomnia or restless sleep is a classic feature of vata type depression. Maybe you're lying awake all night. Maybe you fall asleep only to wake in the small hours, which is the vata time of night, obsessed with fear and anxiety. Your thoughts are rambling endlessly. You're easily distracted, restless, having difficulty concentrating, forgetful, spacey. And you may forget to eat. And maybe you won't remember to take your herbs that we're giving you for your depression. Uh-oh. Set yourself some reminders and some timers. Pitta type depression, it's something that we can easily sink into with the lack of light and the difficulty getting out in daylight. Here we're talking about the pitta in the brain and heart, which we call sadhak pitta. Um, this type of depression can definitely go back to abuse or violence that you experienced in childhood in the home, on the streets, or in school, hearing your parents arguing and fighting. Also, just the parenting style of your parents, if they were judgmental or domineering or pushing you. Um, so, uh, just all these like pitta triggers. It says that pitta needs to be surrounded by brotherly people who are agreeable and don't contradict. Alcohol, that is a very pitta substance, and it's just going to make pitta type depression a lot worse. And not only that, white sugar, really bad for kids, really bad for you, really bad for your pitta. Also, studying too much, working too hard, setting your ambitions too high, being really driven. Um, and like I said, not getting enough sunlight and being in fluorescent lights too much. You can also get pitta type depression if you're using cannabis or opiates. What will you notice if you're starting to get some pitta type depression? You might see some anger. You might see some irritability. You might not know that you're depressed, but you realize that you're getting more angry and irritated than you normally expect yourself to be. You may be critical of yourself. Your self-esteem may be low, or you may be directing it outwards and criticizing others. I remember Dr. Ladd saying about pitta type PMS, if there is nobody there to criticize, she will criticize the refrigerator. That's often the easy way to get angry and critical, is to criticize inanimate objects when nobody else is there, because that doesn't make you look bad. But pitta type depression is dangerous because you can slip into self-destructive behavior like abusing drugs, alcohol abuse, and that is going to make the problem a lot worse. And again, as with vata type depression, you might see difficulty sleeping, but it's a different kind of sleeping difficulty. Lying awake in that pitta time between 10 and 2, thinking about all your responsibilities, all your burdens, all the things you have to do, and having self-critical and self-destructive thoughts. Kapha type depression. That is what we see when what we call the kapha, the kapha in the brain just gets vitiated because there's not enough stimulus. So if you're sleeping in the day, sleeping too much, overeating, having too much kapha foods, like too much oily, heavy foods, too many desserts, all of these things can actually help us to sink into a kapha type depression. They can be either a cause or a symptom of kapha type depression. So it can be a vicious cycle where sleeping too much, sleeping in the day, having too much heavy food and dessert gets us into a kapha type depression, and then all we want to do is sleep and snack. Watching television too much. Again, watching too much television can be a cause of kapha type depression, and also is a classic symptom of kapha type depression. You're just sitting around watching TV, maybe drinking some beer, snacking. Not getting enough vigorous exercise is absolutely going to provoke your kapha. So you're starting to overeat. Maybe you're gaining excess weight, and the weight gain itself is making you feel more depressed. You're not talking about your feelings, and your kapha is becoming more and more provoked. It's only again going to get worse if you use sleeping pills, downers, sedatives, tranquilizers, and again, alcohol is really going to set up kapha type depression as well as pitta type depression. What are the kind of symptoms you'll see with kapha type of depression? Heaviness. The texts talk about a feeling as if You are being covered by a wet blanket. Heaviness, lethargy, apathy, dullness, excess sleep. It's difficult to even to get out of bed. It could be uh, some eating disorder stuff coming in where you just want to binge and eat and eat and eat. Um, so you may not know that you are depressed, but you may notice that you're not getting much done and somehow some extra pounds are going on. We also can get mixed types of depression. Say it's a vata pitta type depression, then you're going to be lying awake all night in the pitta time and all the way into the vata time. You're irritable and agitated and feeling paranoia and potentially having suicidal thoughts. Um, Pitta kapha type depression, that's a horrible one, being both irritable and lethargic. And there can be a reversal where you lie awake all night and then sleep by day. And then vata kapha combination being spacey and apathetic. Um, there are things that can be more serious illnesses that can look like you're having depression, but it's not really depression. Or maybe the doctor's dismissing you as here, take an antidepressant, and you know that's not the real problem. So, um, Vata type depression could actually be ME or chronic fatigue syndrome. Also, intestinal parasites can cause us to have fatigue, spaciness, and poor memory. Pitta type depression in women, there's also something that is known as PMDD or premenstrual dysphoric disorder, which is like an extreme form of PMS. But it's just that type of pitta irritability and aggravation and frustration is alternating throughout the menstrual cycle. Also, liver problems can look like pitta type depression. And remember, those can really get mixed together because if pitta type depression is making you drink, then you could be giving yourself a liver problem in the long term. And if you have a liver problem and you feel depressed and then you drink, it's going to make your liver problem worse and make you feel more depressed. Um, what can look like kapha type depression could be hypothyroidism, your thyroid being low. Is your hair thinning? Is your skin dry? Are you constipated? Maybe you're not really depressed. Maybe you just need to get your thyroid treated. So make sure that if you're feeling sluggish and depressed and pounds are going on and it's difficult to get out of bed, make sure you ask for a TSH test to see how your thyroid is doing. So how are you going to work with uh, this depression? First of all, mental health professionals are here to help you. And especially here are times when we really want you to be with a mental health professional. If you have thoughts of harming yourself or others, please reach out to a mental health professional, be that a psychiatrist, a psychotherapist, or both. If you are having thoughts about suicide, reach out right away. Call that hotline, but also get yourself set up right away with someone that can help you. If you're having thoughts that your life is not worth living, that the world or your family would be better off without you, or that you'd be better off dead, which is kind of similar to thoughts about suicide, again, please we need you to see a mental health professional. We can help you too with Ayurveda, but we need that mental health professional on your team. And also, if you're having difficulty keeping up with your work, which is how you sustain yourself, difficulty doing your daily tasks, difficulty caring for your children, that means depression is really getting the better of you. Please see a mental health professional as well as seeing an Ayurvedic doctor. What are the things that we can do to help ourselves when we have depression? As always, we think about diet, lifestyle, and herbs. A healthy, balanced diet can really turn things around for depression. Eating the typical Mediterranean or Ayurvedic version Mediterranean diet or Ayurvedic diet, the fruits, vegetables, whole grains, legumes, nuts and seeds, oily fish if you want to eat fish, not too much meat, just a few times a week. Make sure that you include healthy oils, especially at least a tablespoon a day of flax oil, calming your vata with soups and other warm, fluid foods. That is going to really help you. How are you going to accomplish that? There's a wonderful book written by one of our alums, and that's the 30-minute Ayurveda cookbook by Danielle Martin. That's a fantastic book that can show you how to make simple, easy, one-pot meals and plan simple menus for yourself. But if you're too depressed, even to make that effort, and if that's how depressed you are, we really want a mental health professional on your team. Well, you could try getting grocery delivery so you don't have to make the effort to go to the store and you can just have the same shopping list happen each week. Uh, you can buy pre-prepped ingredients like pre-cut broccoli to make your meal. You can order healthier takeaways. You can get heat and eat meals like Amy's Natural Soups, Cumin Club Indian entrees. It's better to eat than not eat. Just eat something that's basically healthy that includes vegetables. And yeah, do whatever you've got to do to feed yourself. Vihar, the lifestyle that can help you with depression. One of the very best antidepressants is exercise. At the same time, I certainly do have patients who, by virtue of being really depressed, are not able to exercise. So then what are we going to do? Um, if you can't exercise, I I said to one patient, you need a dog. And she said, I have a dog. It's a little doggy and it runs around in the yard, so you don't have to take small doggy for a walk. But small doggy could literally start to get cognitive problems if not provided an enriching environment, which means going walkies, not just staying in the same old yard, going walkies, going to dog park. So, uh, get a loved one to walk with you, get a friend to walk with you. You don't have to go to the gym, although if you're kapha, you probably should, but you've got to get out and walk, whether that's walkies for your dog, whether that's going with a friend or your life partner or your kids. Set things up so you are made to get out of the house and get exercise. What you got to do when it's too cold and icy and you just don't want to exercise, try some great exercise videos. But it's absolutely your best treatment for depression. So please get out and exercise. Another thing that'll really help you with depression is any kind of creative activity that appeals to you, whether that's writing, doing morning pages, painting, singing, playing a musical instrument, writing songs, making jewelry, knitting, crochet. All kinds of creative activity are wonderful ways of getting yourself out of that depressed state. My dad did a series of paintings, uh, each of which featured a tunnel, and he got into the tunnel and it got darker and darker, and then you started to see a speck of light at the end of the tunnel, and the light grew, and then the light grew, and he painted himself out of the depression. Another relative got into writing poetry and said, I wrote myself out of my depression. So there really are ways to use whatever creative arts appeal to you. Creative activities can really help depression. When we are depressed, we tend to find it difficult to reach out to socialize. So if you know you have a tendency to get depressed, try to get some buddies that are willing to make the effort to reach out to you so that when you're depressed, you'll still have some social activities to do. Getting together with friends can just be so uplifting. And then, of course, Ayurveda offers an absolute array of herbs that are really good for depression. There are herbs that can be used alongside the medicine if you ended up needing to get on medicine when you saw the mental health professional. But to treat depression with herbs, we really need you to come in and get an appointment and get your situation properly assessed. Is it really depression? Is it depression? Is it something else masquerading as depression, or depression plus something else? What doshas are involved? We need to figure that out and provide you the appropriate herbs. But in the meantime, there's Tulsi tea on the store shelves. Get some tea bags, drink some Tulsi tea. That will definitely help with your depression. So there we go. Diet, lifestyle, herbs, as always. Hope this helps. And hope you can settle into the dark time. Enjoy the winter.
Thank you for tuning in to Ayurveda and Spirituality with Alakananda Ma. We hope today's exploration has ignited a spark of curiosity and insight within you. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to leave us a 5-star review and share it with a friend. For more enlightening discussions and practical wisdom on Ayurveda and spirituality, subscribe and join our Facebook group, Alundi Ayurveda. To allow us to continue sharing valuable content, consider donating to Alundi Ashram. The links will be in the show notes. Until next time, may you walk the path of Ayurveda with grace and embrace the light of spiritual wisdom in your journey.
Trayambakam yajamahe sugandhim pushtivar